California Governor Gavin Newsom has picked a replacement for Vice President-elect Kamala Harris's Senate seat. Alex Padilla has served as California's Secretary of State since 2015. As a senator, he will fulfill the remaining 2 years of Harris's term. He is set to become the first Latino ever to represent California in the upper chamber. The state is home to the nation's largest Latino population. A video posted to Twitter Tuesday captured the moment when the governor asked Padilla if he wanted the job.
And where your mom and dad came from, remind me, I mean, they literally came both from Mexico.
Yeah, no, it's a story I'm proud of. They actually came separately. They met in Los Angeles. But yeah, they fell in love and applied for green cards.
Can you imagine what mom would be thinking now as I ask you if you want to be the next U.S. Senator of the United States, the great state of California?
You serious?
This is the official, this is the ask, brother.
I'm honored, man. And I'm humbled because of them. I can't tell you how many pancakes my dad flipped or eggs he scrambled, trying to provide for us or into the many, many years of my mom cleaning houses, doing the same thing. So I try so hard to make sure that our democracy is as inclusive in California as we built, and to have an important perspective to bring to Washington.
Hard to keep dry eyes when you hear stories like that. Sophia Bollag is a political reporter for the Sacramento Bee, where she covers Governor Newsom's administration. Sophia, welcome. Great to have you with us. So tell us a little bit more about Alex Padilla and what led to Governor Newsom choosing him.
Yeah, so Alex Padilla is currently California's Secretary of State. He's going to be, as was just mentioned in that video, he's going to be the first Latino senator to represent California in the U.S. Senate. And that's particularly significant given that Latinos make up the largest ethnic group in the state. Padilla is an ally of Newsom. They share the same political consulting firm that they use, and they've been close allies for a long time. Padilla also, as Secretary of State, has won statewide election in California before, so he's seen as electable here, and is seen as someone who can win the seat outright in an election in 2 years. So I think those were some of the factors that Newsom was considering as he made this selection.
Now, not surprisingly, when a governor has a Senate seat to appoint, there's intense pressure and lobbying from different groups. It was no exception for Governor Newsom. Who will likely be disappointed by the choice of Padilla?
Yeah, well, I should say off the bat that there are a lot of groups that are really excited about this appointment. There were a lot of progressive Latino groups that really pushed Newsom to appoint a Latino senator. But there were other groups who really wanted Newsom to appoint a woman, someone from the LGBTQ community, someone from the Black community, particularly a Black woman, to replace Kamala Harris in the Senate. And obviously, Newsom has not done that with his pick of Padilla. So there will certainly be some groups who didn't get their pick. But there are certainly a lot of other groups that are very happy with this choice.
Now, how worried should Governor Newsom be about his own job? He's fighting off a challenge to boot him from office. Who is leading the charge on that, and what's the gripe?
Yeah, so there is a recall petition that's circulating in California right now. It is a long shot at this point. And it's not the first attempt to recall the governor. There have been attempts to recall him pretty much since he took office. This one is getting a little bit more traction than some of the others, in large part because there's been a lot of criticism of Newsom during the pandemic. Particularly, he made some waves when he went to a birthday dinner for a lobbyist friend of his at a very swanky Northern California restaurant called the French Laundry. He got a lot of criticism for that, and it really, served as a lightning rod for a lot of anger that a lot of conservatives have about Newsom and his handling of the pandemic here in California. The other thing to note about this particular recall petition is that it got a deadline extension of, I think, about 4 months, and that will give the organizers more time to collect signatures. But the reason I say it's still a long shot, last I checked, they have been doing some fundraising, but not in the amounts that you typically would need to see in order to get something on the ballot in California. It's a big state, and so usually if you don't have a huge multi-million-dollar signature gathering effort, it's very hard to get things on the ballot. And at the moment, last I checked, they did not have that money, but that could certainly change sometime over the next few months.
And Sophia, California, just to dive into that point a little bit more about the effect of the pandemic, California has gone from being seen on the one hand as a model for handling the coronavirus to suddenly becoming one of the country's worst hotspots. Parts of the state are now under 3-week stay-at-home orders. What happened there exactly? And you just talked about it a little bit, but what kind of political price is Governor Newsom likely to pay for it?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, at the start of the pandemic, Newsom was, I believe, the first governor to issue a statewide lockdown in mid-March. The whole state basically shut down. Lots of businesses had to shut down too. And he got a lot of credit for basically keeping California's curve pretty low. If you look at the viral transmission graphs in California over time, at the start of the pandemic, the numbers did stay pretty low for quite a while. We didn't see a huge surge at the beginning like other states like New York did. Then over the summer, as Newsom allowed more businesses to reopen, we did see a summer surge, and then the economy shut down again to some extent. Numbers tapered off, and now we are in a much bigger second surge here in California. And as you mentioned, we're really a hot spot in some parts of California. Cases are rising, faster than most parts of the country, and hospitals here are becoming overwhelmed. We're running out of space in our intensive care units, and a lot of doctors and state officials are very concerned about that. And Newsom, meanwhile, has gotten a lot of criticism for the way that he's handled the shutdowns from sort of both sides. There's people on one side who say that he has really depressed the state's economy because businesses have had to stay closed for too long. Others say he didn't act quickly enough to shut down, to sort of quell this latest wave that is coinciding with a major wave that we're seeing this winter alongside the rest of the country, but it is very bad here in California. So that's something that some blame for that is falling on Newsom's shoulders.
Well, Sophia, we've run out of time, but thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you filling us in on everything going on in California. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.